Okay, we're live and we're simulcasting from here on YouTube and here on old Instagram. How's that?
That's Day Life Army YouTube and Hate Life Army on Instagram.
Yeah, I think that, once we hit 100 subscribers, which would be nice if you guys could make that happen. Not because we're ever going to sell you anything that we haven't already sold you, but, or like use you to get sponsorships. That's not going to happen. But we use ourselves to get sponsorships, if ever. It's so that we can have a custom URL. It's that simple. Just 100 subscribers, we'll do it. So I might change to Hate Life Army at that point, custom URL. Because you know what? Hate life is where it's at.
It is.
We've done day life. We're still doing it. So yeah, we're at like 63 subscribers or something. It should be very simple to do. Come on.
Right.
There's like 5 of you. It's
like
fine.
Subscribe.
5 more of you. Do it. We never even say like it, because like who cares?
Hate and subscribe.
Hate and subscribe. We don't have to like it. Yeah, we start there. Go ahead.
All right. Well, in addition, and Instagram is still screwed. It doesn't get to see this. It has to flip it in your mind. But this is how you wash. All right. And our sponsor, Automat, is bringing you this program. And through washing, you can buy your soul back. And the links are cash.me/$washitall. PayPal.me/washitall. You can DM Real Cult Girl on Twitter if you'd like to wash Secret Faith, any of those pesky coins, and email 100f@automat.
It's not really faith. I mean, come on, it's just belief.
Secret belief, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then you can email 100f@automat.me if you'd like to wash basically anything else. Durable goods. You have questions about how to wash other things like your time. That's the place to ask, right? Skills. And someone from the 100F team will get back to you.
Yes, they will. I'm a little sad. We have no idea what Instagram looks like. So you're probably looking at like half faces and like it's not, because it refuses to do a landscape version because they don't want more people in a live on Instagram. They just want one person at a time. So it seems like it's whatever.
And we kind of refuse to care.
Did you know that there's like a movement to like reduce? They're trying to get Facebook removed from the Google Play Store. So people are just giving it a 1-star rating. They need 100,000 people to give it a 1-star rating. It dropped from like 4.6 to 2.
And what does that mean? That Android users won't be able to use Facebook?
By the rules in Google Play, if it drops to 1 star, it gets removed from the store. But they will not do that when Facebook drops to 1 star. I mean, it's a bravo on the effort, but I just don't think.
If only they had integrity.
They will not do that. They'll make an exception.
Right.
But it's still funny if you did it, We
Right.
help get it there. It's still funny. We don't use Facebook. We don't have Facebook app on our devices. Nope. It's not the standard.
And Instagram barely is.
Instagram's just on like some devices. We don't use them on all of them. We just leave it there. Because, we spent last year destroying it.
Mm-hmm. It went very
well. And so now it's just kind of same way. I mean, you can find us on Facebook if you look. If you try, but we don't talk on there anymore. No one used to. We used to every day, all day. Like we spend 8+ hours a day, full-time job on that mofo.
That's right.
Okay. Oh, perhaps you might want to know something about how you lost your soul to begin with, but or how it's kept from you since you lost it. That's the best way to put it, because how people get really mad. They're like, no one can take that from you. And I'm like, it happened. I don't know what to tell you. It's happened. So this episode, we were going to talk about SïDI. We were going to talk about it's called the 4 Big Lies of pay matrix reality. 2 of them are very tangible and very easy to, well, you'll just find people talking about them a lot. No. Yes, 2 of them you'll find people talking about a lot. The other 2, little to none to absolutely 0.
So does it work out that it's public versus private in that way? Like
no,
it doesn't. So there's like one public one that people are talking about, one private one that people are talking about.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So what?
Maybe it's a personal and professional.
Yes, I mean, yeah, to some degree, yeah, it is. Okay, so you can just start with the first one because you've spent the last week doing lives. You talk about your channel so that people can go to the channel. I don't think we're linked yet, but
right. And I think that's another thing that we need 100 subscribers on this channel for, so I can link my Jesus of Day Life channel, which I'm going live on 4 times a week.
Yep.
And this week I've been doing a series of videos on flat Earth, which is one of the 4 big lies, and it's well, you said it backwards. Spinning ball Earth was a lie. Right. But, no, that's funny because I was like looking at the Reddit for flat Earth, and the flat Earth Reddit which has 60,000 Redditors or subscribers, viewers, is all people making fun of flat Earth.
Right.
And then the other one that actually has flat Earth on it is called like Globe Doubters or something like that. And that has like 3,000 people. And that's actually where the flat earthers are talking. And it's like if you go on YouTube, you'll see the videos trying to debunk flat Earth.
Which because we keep saying it, there will be a YouTube qualifier under this video at some point. I'm sure it will come up.
Right.
Flat Earth is an archaic belief in the shape of the cosmos. I believe that's how they put it.
Does it do that with anything else, or is it just flat? I don't remember.
Lizard people.
Lizards. Okay.
The real, etc. Yes.
With
people.
Right. Rothschild.
Just lizards. No. Just if you have to say lizard people.
Right.
But you have to say flat Earth for them to do it.
Right.
It's not like they're going through looking for people. That was an old-timey Google where somebody's hand picking your website and stuff. Those are the days.
Right.
I'll tell you what.
So
I did well in those days. Good one. Yeah.
So the big lie is that it's a wet spinning ball. Just kind of like 93 million miles away from the sun, rotating around the sun as part of this infinite expanse of empty space.
666.6. You can just look it up yourself. Huh?
And
just look up the fucking spinning ball facts.
Right?
The details. Why should we even tell you what they are when you literally were told them since you were gone to school?
Right.
So you look it up yourself.
And the idea that we are not the center of the universe or even the center of our galaxy.
The big lie that we are not the center.
That you are insignificant. And I mean, this was always told to me people are like, if you ever start to freak out, just remember that you're just an ant, bro.
You're no one.
Right, you're just a molecule on top of an ant, on top of in the grand scheme of things, you don't matter. And it's like, oh wow, that really makes me feel a lot better.
People say that
to
themselves and other way,
and
other people. No one else says that.
Now I wouldn't even.
But it's weird because you're saying it because you're trying to work against a lack of humility.
Yeah.
Why would someone who's humble need to say that about themselves? Actually, I am pretty freaking fortunate and miraculous that I'm even here as a human.
Well, what's
there's only so many opportunities to be human.
Yeah, what's the spinning dolphin or maybe you know
about Buddhist stuff. Are you talking about Buddhist?
Where it's you were as likely to be born as
If you take all the oceans and all the world and you throw a hula hoop into it, and a turtle, a sea turtle, comes up in the hula hoop, that's your likelihood. The odds of getting a human life are that small. So you should feel blessed to have gotten it.
I don't mind that.
I don't know about a dolphin thing.
To me, the way I flipped out the millennia, I was like, a dolphin does a triple backflip through like a hula hoop.
On fire. That's the likelihood.
That's the Monster Energy version.
Yes.
Of
No,
the
it's
thing.
just a sea turtle.
Right.
And a hula hoop on a flat plane, flat ocean, water. There's so much to look at for flat Earth now. Like, it's absurd. There's no reason for us to even discuss it like to try and prove it.
Right.
There's no reason to do that. You can go and like have that conversation someplace else. That's not what's happening here. We're just talking about what it is to believe one of the 4 big lies. What does it do to your life? How does it trap your soul? And what it's like to release yourself from one of those lies. Any one of them. You can pick any one. Like, they are definitely aligned with, let me go back real quick and just say, everything the Matrix does around your emotions is very, very specific. Like, there are humans that will be extremely affected by horror. Their emotional state is extremely affected by horror. There's others that are extremely affected by just plain sadness and grief.
Yeah.
There's ones that are extremely affected by things that would make you irate, anger, right? And so our human captors in the pain matrix, the matrix built inside the dome, to make it seem like this is how being on Earth is and what being human is, are very good at playing that switchboard. Very, very good at playing the switchboard. So all the 4 big lies do line up with an emotional string.
Right.
That definitely specifically plays to a quarter of the human population.
Right.
It plays them very well. And if you find your big lie, right, depending on your type, you get into that some other day on Saturday or another show, you will find it's generally the one you can't possibly accept.
Right.
Or it just seems like it blows your mind to even think about it.
And it ties into a question that you've had.
Well, go ahead and talk about yours for Flat Earth and why you're doing Flat Earth as your big lie.
Oh, because my question is where, and how easy is it to confuse someone whose question is where? I mean, the easiest way to confuse someone whose question is where is to tell them that the ground beneath their feet is doing something that it's not, or that it's moving, or that, it is not stable footing.
That they are not where they think they are.
You are not where you think you are.
And not just think you are.
That what feels like everything that you look around is is incorrect.
And
that your eyes are fooling you.
All the big lies are like that. Even if your body is fooling you.
Right.
Like, you couldn't possibly know by just being a human here. You're nobody.
Right.
Like, or you could know because it's a miracle you even got to this. So why wouldn't you know?
Mm-hmm.
If everything around you is indicating that it's flat, literally everything from your perspective, just looking out as far as you can, then why do you believe so? I'm telling you, do not believe that. Why? How did that happen? Explain how that happened. Like, well, they just know more than me. I'm like, what are you talking about? And also, what? You have to think about what difference it makes that you believe them over your own senses.
Bro, and during a trust apocalypse, when you literally don't believe anyone, those are the people you're choosing to believe.
It's great. That's kind of crazy to think about. So before we move on to like other of the big lies, what is your take on what's it like to recognize it as a lie? You lied to about the thing that is the most intense for you.
Well, there's like undoing the kind of brainwashing of believing the lie in the first place, even though it doesn't really make sense. Like there is just, it's been basically, you grew up. I mean, as a kid, I had a fucking toy ball, or it's like there's so much in the programming telling you that
The globes are all decorative. Look at them. The bottom says decorative. It's not educational.
So I like breaking loose from that model, and at first there's like an element of like, I don't know, I felt shame based on just that I believed the thing in the first place, but also like, I don't know, for me, coming from my background of like being in a highly intellectual family that basically made science their religion, it was like, okay, I'm denying the science that you have placed at the center of, our belief system. So for it, it took a while for that. I mean, even here, after talking about it for a few years, I was like, it's still like, I don't know. There was a part of it that was like, maybe, do I want it to be round? Do I want it to be a planet? Partially because of the
wandering star.
Right.
It's not a star.
Because there's an element of like, I want to go somewhere. And there's somewhat like the idea
space,
that space, the final frontier.
Well, here's the thing. If there's more places to go that they're hiding,
right?
Wouldn't they make you look somewhere that doesn't exist to eat up all your let's go somewhere energy?
Exactly. And then they purposely make the places to go the most depressing places. Like I was saying,
what?
If they had Mars, if they had put another fucking tropical planet out there that had like, that was exciting, everyone, we would already have figured out it was fake, because everyone would have been like, that is our number one fucking priority, is to get to fucking planet Tropico out there. But no, they make it Mars, which is like completely uninhabitable.
Why do you hate that word? You hate that word. You always habitable.
Habitable. Non-habitable.
It's a where word.
Yeah, right.
Where habitable. Yeah.
It's a domestication. Like dirt camping.
So
yeah.
Okay, so the things about the big lies that everybody's like talking about, willing to talk about, like they're kind of popular in the conspiracy world. And I will never call it a theory because it's a con matrix, the whole book.
Right.
So a lot of ways we're talking about the con matrix right now with 4 Big Lies. These are like the tent poles of the con matrix. So, and all it's there to do is shake your confidence, because cons are about confidence.
Right.
Shake your confidence in your own knowing what is happening. So that particular one is very popular, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thank Eric Dubay from back in the day, which everyone was like, he's a Freemason, which is why he was able to do it. It's like he's struggling with, okay, Moloch-Emoji, all right, like sure, they are like, okay, it's that being the case. Even if that's true, does that change anything about the fact that they're using, because it's popular, people are using science to prove it. Do you get what I'm saying? There's like science science was saying, this is what it is. And they're like, no, I'm going to use science to prove that you're lying right now. So the popular ones, that is done. So we'll talk about the next one, which I'm going to use different words to talk about it because it's the one that will get the channel shut down. There won't just be like a little line below that says this subject is open for, is suspect. Mm-hmm. We will literally be shut down for being abusive for talking about it.
That's right.
But it's about hidden gender transformations in the public eye, intentional inversion of gender, which really the big lie, the temple, that's what people talk about it.
Right.
That's what they like to talk about. That celebrities, all the celebrities that you see, since the big screen was the big screen, since I'm just like Hugh Grant, Cary Grant, since Cary Grant to who plays Rhett in fucking Gone with the Wind? What the fuck is his name?
Gary Cooper?
No.
Clark Gable?
Clark Gable, Elvis, like every single, not every single, but like 96% majority of celebrities are actually gender inversion. And or that's just like the popular notion of it. They're trying to use, what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? What's it called? Osteo. I'm just talking about bones, dude. Biological osteo kind of mapping. I know the way I can describe it. So they're trying to use science to prove it, that it's a lie, that you're being lied to. Now, that's like the version everyone wants to talk about, but there's more to this. That's just like a piece of the temple people can see. It's more about, it has a lot to do with sex and a lot to do with procreation. That temple, that part, like, are there clones? Are they missing? Are they dying?
Right.
Are they manipulating the human genome?
Right.
To large degrees that they do not admit to at this point in history. Because anything they're going to say that is ready for the public, they've been doing for a very long time using the military.
Right.
That's every single piece of technology ever. So, in their matrix is how they do it. Why do you think I started a military? Hello. So we can use our own technology, develop it, then put it out to our public.
Mm-hmm.
In the pleasure matrix. At any rate, it's really upsetting to people, though, the gender one. It's very upsetting to people. And as some people know, in fact, some people think that we only had trans people here in the military to begin with. Like, that's all we like attract. The pleasure matrix does not have any bone to pick or beef with individuals who claim a trans identity. That's all I can say about that. We have no problem with that. Or even like that's the problem attitude. That being said, the big lie of gender inversion of people, celebrities, the people that are put on display as idols and icons to influence people's emotions around desire, specifically desire. That being a lie, you being told a lie, the person's telling you a lie, I mean, the only way people have seen it for years and years up until now was about sexual orientation, which is completely separate from gender. Like, how many gay bachelors have there been on the Bachelor show? All of them. And they're just now, one of them is like coming out and saying, I'm gay. The rest haven't even come out. They haven't come out. There's not all of them. There's a few still having children that don't.
There's a lot of seasons of this show.
There's a lot of seasons of Bachelor and Bachelorette, which is Disney, made by Disney, ABC show. So it's deep. It's deep. It even goes as far as like the whole concept that there's some sort of thing that old people are trying to get from young people, sexually speaking. And there's nothing, and I'm not talking about children when I talk about sex. I am never talking about children when I'm talking about sex, because children don't have sex. Adults have sex. That young adults don't want something from older humans in sex. Also a weird lie that's getting weirder every day online, right? There's 18-year-olds posting like, some guy talked to me outside. Oh my God, he talked to me. What was I supposed to do? What are you talking about? What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to post it online for clout. What are you talking about? That's what you did. You did exactly what you thought you should do.
Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry.
Canceled for just being like
talking to a girl on a video chat.
20-something.
And saying, do you always play with your hair that much? Like, that's the raciest thing he said.
Yeah.
Do you always play with your hair that much? I just think people need to know the guys are out here talking to 20-year-olds. You need people to know that? You don't think people knew that? Interesting.
Everything's always new to fucking the newest generation.
It's
like
not
Gen
new.
Z is like,
they're lying. They're lying about it when they say it's new.
That's
it's
what they think the big lie is, that old men.
Talking to young women.
It's not even an old man.
He's not that old.
Just a guy.
Yeah. Exactly. Half the time it's just a guy. Exactly. Guys talking to anyone. Look at how they treat me in my DMs, and you see the DM, which is like, hey, I think you're pretty cool. You ever want to talk?
Right.
Excuse me? Did you really just say that was treating you abusive? They were aggressive with you and abusive? So far, oh my goodness. This particular tentpole has made women horrible. Think about the whole thing. We're talking about gender inversion. We're talking about, sexual misconduct, what people see as sexual misconduct or aggressiveness. Like, it's made women absolutely unbearable online. Unbearable. And those that would like to mimic them, also unbearable online. Once, one of our the only soldier to ever violate sexual standards in this army, said by text after trying to cancel us online, right, with the media, said, that's right, I never said I was going to get you killed. I'm doing this from the safety of a phone. I was like, yes, because you were so unsafe in person. In fact, right now you're acting like you're more unsafe now than you ever did when I saw you in person.
Right.
Ever did when you were in person. And you learn from being in person. People are scared of that.
Yeah.
They're scared of that. So that's tentpole number 2, and it's very difficult. It's like, exactly, they love to. But in person, they are terrified of the end results, which has been the entire point of the Matrix pulling this particular emotional string, desire. Because you're online and you see something you desire, right? Someone, desire. Just, I want to know that person. I want to know about what they're talking about. Right here, everyone watching the live, you want to know what we're talking about. You have a desire. It's happening right now. Right? And then you go towards it, and you're like, it's not safe. There's no way this is safe. This is not safe. It's not safe because you start to feel things and experience things.
Oh, God.
And you have to figure out how you integrate your experience and those feelings into your life. That's the next step. And a lot of people run away at that step. They just think, I cannot do that part. So that's a weird tentpole, even though people talk about it, but they only talk about the gender inversion part.
Right.
And sometimes the closeted homosexuality part. So, and closeted homosexuality is crying out loud. Does anyone need to know who you're fucking? No. And I said, no one cares. Like, that's not the point. That's really not the point. Is if you're projecting a certain desire that you do not actually have. You're projecting a desire that's a lie.
It's compelling.
People love it. That's why YouTube is full of people that are confident, like YouTube stars, like full to brimming. And half the time, half the time, it's not even a question of whether they need to live a gay lifestyle of any kind. That was the question. No one cares. Get married, marry a woman, marry a man, have a baby. No one cares.
Right.
It's not about that. It's lying to yourself that's the problem more than anything.
It's not always.
It always is. So that's like tentpole number 2. And I only say that's number 2 because the one people's it's exposed. And there are 2 masculine tentpoles. I will not get into why that is true, but it is. There's 2 masculine tentpoles. They're about exploration of land and the pursuits of what you desire, right? So that's masculinity, not male, just masculine. Yeah.
Right.
The 2 feminine ones, as you might imagine, are hidden away and not talked about at all. One is talked about a little bit. One is being talked about more and more, to the point that Bloomberg had to make an article about how it's crazy that people think that, isn't it? is funny. It was an article about mud floods. Because
Bloomberg?
Bloomberg did article. Sergeant Major Mary, she shared it. It was
Mike
Bloomberg
had to
said
get involved. Mike, calm down.
This
Get
whole
the fake out. Get the fake
this
out.
whole architecture conspiracy is crazy. So the mud flood, a big lie, is the question of whether time is being manipulated, which we have talked about before on the show, right? In the last 2 episodes, along with 2 other episodes, we've talked about time being manipulated in this matrix. Time being manipulated pulls at the. So let's go back. So gender inversion, right, and design and sexual lies, basically sexual lies, pull at the desire string really hard. Which one did you say, the spinning ball, or pulls at the strings of, what emotional string does it pull?
Desire. Anger? Well,
Does it make you mad?
Yeah, it does.
Does it make you mad?
I guess when you say desire, is that like, what is that?
Want. Desire, want.
Right.
Want and need, desire.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes you angry.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I find that the time one is the one that makes people angry. I think it makes you sad. Don't you think it makes you sad?
Sad that.
Spinning ball,
Right. Oh yeah. It's sad.
You're nobody,
lonely.
or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
You're spinning out there in the cosmos with nobody.
Right.
No one care about you. Yeah, I think it makes you sad. Time, whatever I experienced it the other day, because I forgot what time it was in new time. Like, I literally just forgot new time for a few hours. So I was dealing with, like, I think banking. So I was like paying attention to their clock and their banking clock and the Gregorian, right? Not Julian, Gregorian calendar instead of our calendar, new time calendar. 8/13 is what the associate who made it, our calendar, calls it, 8/13 calendar. So, and it made me really, really angry. I haven't been that angry in that way since, like, I snorted bad cocaine that wasn't cocaine at my, like, annual New Year's Day potluck I used to have. It was like the one time I had it at a friend's house instead of my own place. And my other friend was like, I think she was having a little bit of a problem back then with drugs. I wasn't having the same problem she was having, but she was like, I have this little leftover cocaine from, the night before, because it was their holiday. And they were like, do you want to do it in the bathroom at our friend's house?
Yeah.
Even though I'm hosting a party, right? She's like, come on, do the thing. I was like, I just like, I was not big in cocaine anyway, but I did it, and it made me want to kill someone. I had to excuse myself from my own party and leave early and go home. I took my date. My date was
so you were hosting
like,
a party at someone else's house.
Yes, it's my annual party, but I was hosting at someone else's house. It was fine. She was able to fuck me. She handle it. But I haven't been that angry like that, like angry for no reason at everybody, other than I went back into old time. And I was like, this is horrible. The time one, manipulating the timeline, the way it's being presented, let's say publicly presented, is on the subject of mud floods. So it's talked about, right? But it is currently the rarest of con matrix discussions, I would say. There's way less people talking about it online than anything else, timeline change. And Bloomberg did publish a piece on it, though, because it's coming up. And anytime we talk about anything, they do publish articles about it every time. So,
I mean, look, even we're going into the dark for this conversation.
Yeah, it's really, you can look into it for yourself. Just search mud flood, and you will find people talking about it. Yeah, there's some flat earth people who talk about it. That's one of the things that people talk about. It's the idea that there was a much more advanced, Earth, society, empire even. Let's talk about the Moors, okay? That encompassed the Ottoman Empire, the Tartarian Empire, and two more, I just don't remember what they're called, that had advances in technology that brought us many of the superstructures of old that we currently have, like including lots of buildings that we're staring at right now. We want to say where we are, but this town's full of it. There's a lot of towns that are full of it. This town's full of it. Called mud flood buildings, because the claim is that they were built around, during the
Turn of the
1800s,
Right.
1800s to 1900s, and San Francisco just somehow was huge and finished with 10,000 people living in it within 4 to 10 years.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, this is all finished. It's like, instead of the idea that perhaps it was already there and you just came in and took it over. But then there was but to be clear, there was a cataclysmic event, and what's called mud flood, cataclysmic event, in which the earth was liquefied, which you can look for earth liquefaction videos and you will find people do it. Vibration will do it. Water comes up, vibration, and the earth liquefies. And things just get sucked down into it.
Right.
So why the architecture part is there, looking around right now in Salt Lake City, Utah, they started working on the temple there, the temple in Utah. Which when was he supposed to have gotten there and built the temple?
Joseph Smith?
Yeah. And then Brigham Young helped at the end. I mean, I don't know if it was done then. I think Brigham Young actually was supposed to be the one building the temple himself. I do not know that Joseph Smith did that. I don't think that was the plan. Sure. It is. There's also a building outside of town. There was like a sanitarium that was like 18. They were like, oh, it was built in the 1800s. We built this 12 miles outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, to send our people there that were sick. There's only like a few thousand people living in there to begin with. This building is huge and brick and crazy. It doesn't make any sense. They did not build that with their wagon. Where did they even get the bricks? They don't even talk about that. Yeah. It's like this architect designed it. Look up the Wikipedia pages for this stuff. They always talk about architect. They don't talk about who was the contractor, quote unquote, at the time. They do not discuss that. Like, the people just got together and did it. It's like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Look around. They were building wooden shacks.
Right.
Then these are the buildings. Like, yeah, but we got together. And the buildings are huge compared to the people. The other thing is that this empire had a lot bigger people. 10 feet tall, let's say. You can see pictures of giants around, photos. Right now, they're working on the temple. They have to do some, repairs to it. They started digging down. And there's some video, you can find some people have found some video, though they are jamming people's cell phones in the area. So you can't film it easy when they realize that you're filming it. They're digging down to reinforce the substructure. Yeah. But it turns out there are so many floors down there. Right. They had gotten to 1.5 floors. You can see there's windows, everything. The building just sank. And so they're looking down below, or mud came in, right, and surrounded it at a level. And they're digging down, and one guy, I will just name him LC King. You should look him up on YouTube. LC King. Is that his name? Yeah, LC King, his channel. Check him out. He does a lot of just roaming around looking at stuff. Yeah. Especially, he says, take a little look a lot. It's nice. It's tagline. Takes a little look at a lot of stuff. So he physically was in Salt Lake City and filmed, right? And he called out to the guys working and was like, hey, what are you doing? What's happening? The guy's talking about it, and he's like, how many more layers are there down there? And we don't know. Was the answer from the contractor. Right. We don't know how many more there's going to be. So that's why Bloomberg had to say something, because people are finding evidence of something happening. Yeah. Yeah. And if you go in that little corner and you start pulling it apart, more and more things come out. And you're like, the timeline isn't what they said. There's no way this happened in this span of time. Right. Dating isn't reliable because it's not doing anything. All kinds of things like that. So time is being messed with, and the time when, doesn't having to be someplace at a certain time sometimes make you angry?
Oh yeah.
If you don't want to do that, and it's not like someone owning your time, going to work all week or whatever, like it makes you angry. Owning them messing with your time makes you angry. So that's the like emotion is trying to like pluck at and mess with you about. And you get to a point with these emotional states that you don't even know you're in them. Put it this way, when I was an old time before, was I really an angry person? No, I'm not really an angry person. It's hard for me to get anger up. Really,
right?
It's hard
You're also
emotion to
used
pick it
to
up.
Right.
But by leaving old time, going into new time, and finding myself back in it, I was like, "What is this horrible feeling?" It's like, "Oh, that you're just like a low grade anger all the time that someone owns your time." And we found ways to get out of time before this, before even talking about floods and like, because you don't even have to go the intellectual route to get there to the answer. You really don't. It is though quite striking to go through the intellectual door. Be like, wait, what? They told me that lie? That's a crazy lie. Ball Earth is a crazy lie. And it's everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere. Every logo, it's either Saturn or Ball Earth, like everyone, everywhere.
I think I had I started 2 record labels with a globe as the logo in it. 2. 2 out of 2.
All were globe Earth.
Yeah.
And you're wondering why that's your big lie.
Right.
You're like, that's my big lie. How could it be? So now I'll get to my big lie, which she's been working on for a while. This one, you can search all you want. You will not find anyone talking about this piece of it.
Right.
It just is not talked about. How do you put it? I'll say so as you might imagine, the timeline one is a when question. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Just like the globe is a where question. Spinning ball question.
And gender is a who question.
Is a who question. Even all of sexuality is a who question. Yeah, it's about people, because otherwise it doesn't really exist without them.
Right.
Why is a what question? Like what we're doing in this color matrix. How is it set up? Kind of who's running it. Some comes into it, which is what we talked about yesterday for like hours.
And where.
But what they're doing is what it's really about. And so the thing is, you can find information about like the banking system, the court system, maritime law, Your birth certificate isn't you. Like literally a week ago when we were going to do this, I was like, that's what we have to talk about? Because that's the what question?
Right.
Like, it's not that exciting.
Mm.
It's a little bit like the gender one. It's like all these little tentacles that there's a core to that's like far more important. So the what and I'm sorry, the where and the when question have these tangible results.
Yeah.
Very tangible. Like a new calendar. How about that?
Right.
For a new time.
New map.
A new place to go on the map, et cetera, et cetera. Gender, it's long form.
Yeah.
Because you're just gonna have babies. That's all it comes down to, is having human babies. That's it. That's what it comes down to. So it's a long form question. The results are very long form. Same with what? Because if you're like, they started it back in, I'm sorry, but 1776. We gotta go back to 1776 to make this work because they did this crazy what on top of everything. It's like, oh, the what started long before that, sir. Long before that. Who are the real Satanists? Becomes the question. Who's at the top of the Satanist pyramid? What's going on there? A lot of people want it to be a certain little place. It's been in the news a lot this week that I won't say the name of because it's another one where you'll get your account shut down for.
Right.
Come on, you guys know where is the most exciting place on the planet, according to everyone. Everyone's fighting over it and being like, no, we have to live here together in peace and harmony because all of our prophets said so.
Yeah.
Can you guess the name of it? I think you can. I think you can guess the name of it. People want, and let's be very clear, they want not the citizens of this place to be the people that have been in charge this whole time. Mm-hmm. They want the creators of this place to be known as the hidden hand. Mm-hmm. The hidden hand. The ones that brought us the Freemasons. The ones that brought us all the fraternal organizations and brought us all these things to control us. especially when it comes to banking and money. Yeah, we all know who that is. We don't even talk about
And entertainment.
it. Entertainment, like everything you think of, they're everywhere. They can't be stopped. It's
Right. Even in this video.
And even in this cult,
Right.
we had an absurd and unlikely high ratio of trans folk and Jewish folk in this cult.
That's true.
It's true. It's true. Unlikely ratios. And in terms of race, we kind of did all right too.
Right.
There's more to come. Asia needs more representation in general. Yellow needs more representation around here.
We got a little bit.
A little brown, a little black, a little white, Yeah, we use a little red, a little more yellow, basically. But that idea, I mean, you can go, like, it goes, people have followed threads very far. Pieces of spaghetti. That's all the common layers, like spaghetti lasagna. So you pierce through this one, and you're like, what? And you're like, oh, spaghetti noodles lead to Khazarians. And the Khazarians took over this and they moved over here. And Meanwhile, there's a whole group of people. Ain't nobody talk about ever. Nothing to say about them. It's like, they're just over there doing their thing.
Oh, they put a movie out there. One movie.
They're being all nice and white.
Right.
And perfect.
Uh-huh.
I mean, sometimes they do things around sex with kids that people are confused by, but everyone goes like, right? Or their neighbors do, and no one thinks it's about them, but their neighbors are doing that. Their neighbors on the planet.
Well, to be clear, not sex with kids, but...
No, just teaching kids about sexuality.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, they do things like that, and everyone's like, is that okay? Like, things happen there that people pay attention to, but they quickly let it go. Like, it's over the minute it starts. Like, you can't talk about it. Mm-hmm. People think you can't talk about the state of Israel, right?
Right.
Or Jews as a group of people. People think that.
Mm-hmm.
But really? I mean, people do talk about it, don't they? And then there's like a whole battle of like, I got shut down and I'm canceled over it. So it's like, that's what people are paying attention to. Meanwhile, there's a whole group no one's talking about.
And they're just living their lives.
And I don't even know who to say it. I don't even know what to tell you. Because it's the biggest lie that no one has ever talked about. The biggest lie. Who's really in charge? If you're on a flat earth, who's the closest to the center? Who has a ridiculously large pension fund? So big, and this is where I finally was like, that's it. That's it. It's facts. I am done pretending this isn't true. Who has more money than everybody?
Right, including the other small population that we've been talking about.
Including China.
Right.
Who has more
The
money?
biggest population.
Wait, okay.
So the smallest and the biggest.
And all we're comparing here is not GDP, okay? We're not talking about GDP. We're not talking about any of that. We're like a list of sovereign wealth funds, which would be a pension fund for a whole country, the socialist country, social democrat, whatever, a socialist country.
Fucking no.
Doesn't matter. They don't have to. They abide by no rules up there that everyone else has to abide by. In terms of like, their politics is completely different.
Yep.
Because it's homogenous. People are like, oh, in fact, when I talk to folks from there, I've dated quite a few. In fact, I'm with one now. I'm married to one now, and I'm taking his very useful last name. And I used to say this online. People are like, you're just with him so you get credibility. I'm like, well, wait till my last name is Carlson. Wait till my last name is Carlson, then you'll see. It works. I use it online all the time, and people are like, oh, welcome. Even though a black person is still like, what? Come on in. I don't know who that avatar you're using is, but you're welcome here.
Let me put a wreath around your neck.
Who was Hitler looking up to? Who was Hitler like? I want to be them.
It's not what Hitler. It's not what Hitler looked like. Hitler did not look like this.
Exactly. Okay, so looking at the sovereign wealth funds list. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's pension funds and budget surpluses. A lot of people talk about the Saudi, right? Mm-hmm. Saudi sovereign wealth fund. It comes up a lot in TV shows about capital movements around the world because you take the surplus from the people because you sold a bunch of oil or you just have a lot of surplus. Things are working real efficient around here, and you take it and you invest it. That's what the wealth funds are for. You invest it anywhere internationally into projects that you think will make you money. Yeah, stocks, companies, venture capital firms. You give them money, and then they use the money to do something, and then they have to pay you when they get paid. That's what they're used for. The numbers are large of these, right? They're big.
Yeah.
They're big. We were just looking up a California teachers pension fund is 299 billion or 80 or something billion. It's almost 300 billion. How many teachers are in the fund? Like, I mean, it's a lot of time, right? It's a lot of years of retiring teachers. It's not like just you, right? Retiring teachers. Like, there's a lot of them. So it's not a lifetime sovereign wealth fund. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's because people who work in the industry. So 300 billion. And California is really big. The largest one listed in a list of like the big and the top funds is a pension fund from a country from a country that only has 5 million people, period. That's it. Guess how big it is. I told you how big it was. I even got it wrong because I can't find the picture again. It's bigger than China's. How big is it? It's ridiculously huge.
Okay, I'll give you an estimate. It's at 1.1 T.
Yeah, I think higher. 1.3, 1.2, something like that. Because I think China's is like 1.2 or 1.3, and it's higher than that. How many people are in China? Compare the population lie is also a big one. Is that
part of this lie, though?
It is. It is. The what lie? How many people are on the Earth plane, huh? How many? Can you count them all? Do you think about counting them all? When you look out your window, you're like, if I was to count all these people, how many would there be if I was to extrapolate that? You go across the United States, which we do a lot in this military. We travel a lot, and yes, it's mostly empty. It is mostly empty.
1.273.
$1.273 trillion USD. I mean, it's the comparison chart, right? It's in USD. You should just look it up. Then you'll know. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to let anybody shut this down before we got it all said and done.
That's
I don't want the algo looking for this nation that like watching us and be like, oh, they said it. They blamed everyone else. The Dutch have gotten a lot of blame. They have used everyone to do what they've done. Everyone has been used in different ways. We used to talk about like Germany really being the boss, but they're just their bean counter.
Talk about England being the boss.
No, just their their arms to like crush
There's
things.
Lots of plants there.
Yes. Yeah. And we say bean counter, and also they don't care about money.
Ooh.
They don't care. They're not existing in a reality where money matters. It doesn't. Their life is good. Things are good. So people talk about one nation that falls into this category during the last year and a half because their experience of the you-know-what demic was unique.
Yeah.
And they did whatever they wanted. They're like, yeah, whatever. We're just doing what we're doing. We'll go along with this story because we have to keep the story going. It's part of the story, but we don't actually care. We're doing what we want.
I mean, what nation fucking uses fucking saunas more than anyone?
I think saunas are. I literally looked the other day. Because someone was someone did a tour. Exactly, someone did a tour of their. We will not say who, but someone did a tour of their like tour bus, right? For like GQ or something. Yeah. And they were like got on their tour bus and like, this is cool. This is my favorite part. And they like showed their sauna and they
the tour bus.
They have a sauna in the tour bus. Like I use all the time. Accident. And then they started explaining why they need to use the sauna. And that like being a performer is like being an athlete. You're doing like 1.5 hour shows every night and like you just gotta rejuvenate, like take care of yourself. And it was really odd. He like trailed off a lot and stared a lot. Stared off in the distance a lot. And I was like,
this is where I renew my contract.
I know. I literally was like, do clothes require infrared light and heat to like stay functional longer? I literally tried to look it up.
Right.
It was like, no one's gonna answer that question.
Was it like a red light sauna? It wasn't
infrared.
steam.
It's an infrared.
It wasn't a steam sauna.
No, they had a steam shower and an infrared sauna next door. And everyone I know who has any of this who
Yes.
loves a sauna.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they love sauna. I like sauna too. There's a reason my DNA had to go find that DNA.
The place
to
that
do
we
a thing.
that we stayed was the person who owned the property had a name like, you know.
Yes, yes,
And
they saw
had
it
a
like
sauna.
crazy. They saw it all the
that was
time.
the thing.
Yes, and it takes very few of them to control culture worldwide,
Mhm.
and they really have. They control culture everywhere. They have seeded it everywhere, and as part of the plan, you look into their invasion of Normandy, and then their movement from Normandy to England, and then from England to the world.
Exactly. Well, they figured, why go out and do all the fucking work when they can just.
Well, and the European royals claim their bloodline was from someone with a very fancy name from this place in the world, a god perhaps from this area that also was very featured in a weird way in The Hobbit. You guys watch the Hobbit movie? If you watch the Hobbit movie but had read the book, you'd be like, boy, they're spending a whole lot of time on this subject compared to what the book is about.
I haven't seen all the movies.
Oh, they just spend a lot of time on the short people. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be of this place,
Right.
even though it's fantasy land.
Yes.
So they're from this place. So they didn't spend a lot of time on the elves. The elves aren't even in the second book, but they put them in anyway.
Right.
Because they just had all those people living there, and Peter Jackson didn't even read. It's like he never read the book, frankly.
I don't think
he did.
I don't think he did.
He didn't read The Hobbit. It's like, I just get it done.
And it was already started by someone else who was.
The Hobbit was?
Yeah, they were gonna. Guillermo del Toro was gonna
that's
do it.
right.
It probably would have been better.
It would have been much better. It's very bad. But that's okay. He didn't read it. I took my nieces and nephews to see it after reading them the book, and I'm like, this is bad. Like, it is, I'm sorry. We only have another hour to sit through.
And there's 2 more movies on the way that no one will fucking care about.
No, there weren't. That was it. He put it all in one movie. He could have done that, and it would have been better, but he didn't. Anyway, it is.
Well, what place on earth? I mean, what if you even look at Lord of the Rings symbolism of like, who got the job done, who saved the day?
In the end,
where on earth does it resemble the Shire the most?
I guess so. Well, yeah, sure. Yes, parts of it. Yes, parts of it definitely. But they like film that in New Zealand, so they can be like, that's where it feels like the show, you know. But
right, but it's taking.
Yes. It is definitely taking cultural elements.
Because what the New Zealand's about as far away from this place as you can be.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it is. It's really far. But here's the deal, you know, if you want, you got to not believe in whatever it is you're feeding somebody else. I just want to say that culturally. If you want to control people with a lie, you have to know the truth, don't you? Mm-hmm. Which then leads to the fact that people can find out the truth because it exists.
Right.
There's always a way in through the lie to find the truth because you can't. It's a silly setup. Satan did a silly thing. It is a silly thing. There's something silly about it. It's kind of ridiculous. But I just want to kind of end with that concept, at least for like the big lies, even though we're not like getting into this one deeply. I just want to say different people are running things. Yes, it takes into consideration maritime. What was the other one we just talked about? You said, is that part of this lie too?
Population.
Size of the population, earth plane, et cetera, et cetera. And they have other people do the talking. There's actually a family from this place, a very, very influential family. And their family motto basically says, run everything but never be seen. So that's what they're doing. Running everything but not seen, be seen. And they kind of couch it in cultural, it's elitism, but like that, that makes us good. I don't know why you're saying like we're modest. We don't want to be out there saying what we're doing. They even have an award they give out. One of the countries.
Seattleite fucking thing too.
Like,
we would never wear expensive clothes. We drive Subarus.
Exactly. No one is flashy anything. Leave that to the Arabs. Okay, Instagram's over.
Yeah.
there's. I'm actually gonna do something about it real quick because it'll just fade. Disappear if I don't. Okay, I will finish by saying though. They couch it in being modest, but it is not modest. Hey, Nico Bellini.
Right.
Should I GTV? I'm just. Well, you're not in it at all.
You know what? It's all good.
Here we are doing a video. Oh, what was that? That one. And I'm picking the cover. So we go live as long as we want on here. So the question is, what do we do? What do you do when you know you've been taken in by a big lie? Or at least you want to think about whether you were taken in by a big lie.
Right.
Because I'll get to the next part of this. Doing this is so annoying, but I know it'll fuck up if I don't.
Yeah.
If I let it sit here and don't post it, it'll just disappear or Instagram will crash or something. So I'm gonna do it. Why don't you go back to the thing about being shame and the big lie, just to like give that context again. Shame at the root of it, like why you stay in a big lie.
Because you'll be ostracized for knowing the truth. And
Really saying it.
and just annoyingly, it's so annoying. Like the people, like globe Earth people are so much more intolerant than flat Earth people who are just like, hey, I'm just really trying to figure out a thing. It's like an earnest kind of like desire for the truth. It's not particularly elitist. It's just got like people like, you know, we don't even have that much money to figure this out. We wish we did. Or like, you know, access to Antarctica or whatever, like access to planes. I was just linked to this guy, this pilot, who's like, I will take all the flat earthers on a plane ride and I'll show you the world. It's like, well, I'll show you. And he was not taking a side on whether it was a globe or flat. It was also a little bit of like, well, that trip is never going to happen because you would, you know, you can't publicize something like this without it being tampered with. So yeah, there's shame in like being an outsider, and one thing that being in a cult prepares you for these big lies because you're pre-ostracizing yourself already by getting into like, okay, you're preparing yourself for the ostracizations.
Ostracization. It is ostracization. Ostracization.
Ostracization.
I don't even know if that's really a word. Is it?
Yeah. To come. But yeah, so that's
of all kinds, right?
Right.
Because you're already saying I'm claiming you're in a cult doesn't mean just because you don't claim you're in a cult does not mean you are not in a cult. Got it? Everyone knows that.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Everybody knows that to be true. Just because you don't claim it doesn't mean you're not in one. And the Pay Matrix is a cult. The Ball Earth is a cult. Come on. How's it not? You're believing a thing.
NASA shirts are like so popular right now.
Whatever. They totally played that game so hard. They're like the post office and NASA are going to become our new favorite thing. You know, the post office is in charge of your whole freaking life in terms of what? In terms of the other big lie, my tentpole big lie, the what one? Like, yeah, the post office is in charge of your life. Just saying. It's like you should find out how. It can go well. It can go great. They can do great things for you, and it also can go poorly. Yeah. Between them and court clerks, they pretty much run everything.
Right.
Their signatures mean more than anything. Their stamps and signatures mean more than anything else. So shame is like particularly powerful. All right. Ostracization happens through shame. It doesn't happen any other way. It's extremely powerful. In fact, there were people who say that we shamed them, which is why they couldn't leave. I just don't.
Who couldn't leave?
They all left, so apparently they could leave. I couldn't leave that whole time because I would feel ashamed. I was like, I think you feel shame right now. You felt shame inside when someone said, what if this is true about you? Why are you ashamed of that thing?
Right.
that you're gay or maybe you're not trans. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you feeling ashamed by
I don't know
that?
if that ever specifically came up.
No, I didn't. I'm just saying, like, just being open to like whatever you thought was for you, learning that it isn't.
Right.
It is a safe place. This is an unsafe place to do so.
Because every individual has their own 4 big lies, and those are, kind of templates to figure out what your lies are. Like
Your own personal ones.
Yeah, you have your own
they
mud flood, your own flat earth.
Yep. Your own gender identity. Yeah. Your own identity lies. Your own identity lies. But identity lies speak to gender and sex because it's about procreation.
Right.
Continuing your identity on down. Yeah, bloodlines, about bloodlines. The what one, like we talked about last week, talking about birth certificates and this and that, like you'll be surprised at being willing to be a fool, no matter your age or time or what is going on, a fool who also keeps an eye on where they are going so they do not fall into a trap or fall off a building or whatever it may be because they're a fool. They're like, I'm just going for it. That's what a fool does. Is a power you really need to take hold of at this point in history. You cannot do this, what is happening right now, without it. You can't do it.
Nope.
Be willing to be a fool. Be willing to be like, whoa, that was crazy. I thought this thing, and then it did not. What is the big deal? You want to be sad like every person you know? Just saying, they're sad. They talk to more people these days, meaning this guy and Sergeant Major Mary. They talk to more people than anyone else in the organization, and everyone's sad.
Lonely.
You want to be sad, lonely? How much you just think it's okay to be a fool? What's the big deal? Now, there's a lot of people who are like, I was a fool, and then I went on lots of drugs. And now I no longer have to feel like a fool, but I also am not free, and I'm also sad. I'm still sad.
Yeah.
I'm empty. The drugs help. You'd be more empty. Washed to buy your soul back. Telling you, ask some people who have washed already. That's the next thing that's going to be happening. Right. People who have washed that aren't us, that aren't here, that aren't doing this, talking at your face. Like, they wash. I didn't think we do anything we're doing. People wash. They wash stuff. They wash money. They wash time. They wash attention. And they could tell you what it's like to do it and what benefits they get from it. If you need to know, why don't you email someone or DM someone and be like, can you tell me someone to talk to about it? Yeah? Why do you do that? So you can just watch right now and get it over with. Cash.me/$wash it or paypal.me/wash it all. You can DM at Real Cold Curl on Twitter, specifically Twitter, and she can get you any wallet addresses you might be looking for, so you can watch those kinds of annoying things, secret coins. And then you can email 100F at automat, AUTUMAT.me with questions, concerns, any other types of things you have to wash, assets, possibilities, anything like that. And also email there or DM Real Cold Girl if you want to know, like, who else watches? Like, can I talk to someone about it? And if you're an op, fuck off. Like, no, you know how many of you there are, and we've been dealing with you for so long. You can go talk to someone who's washing and convince them to stop washing, and it won't change anything but their lives, not ours. Yeah. So you should probably not. I mean, you could do that because you're out there trying to destroy people's lives, I guess. But it won't change us.
It just makes your price go up.
Yeah, it won't change us.
Ultimately,
leave people alone.
You're still gonna have a price, and it's just
going up. Going up. Yeah. So do that. Get on there. You can wash it all right now. Also, you can also email if you want to like wire transfer or a myriad other ways.
You don't have Cashapp, you don't have PayPal, you don't want to have Cashapp or PayPal. Well, you're still a valid human being.
There's ways to wash.
There are.
In every way to wash. All right, that's mainly that. Okay. I said it once on Instagram, which is annoying because Instagram's the most annoying place, and it should have 10 million more commercials for our own shit on it.
It should just be fucking plastered.
It should be. But I have to participate. Also, hate and subscribe, would you? Because if you subscribe, I can like change the link. It's the only reason I want subscribers. It's not about monetization. We will never monetize the channel. We don't care. So we can talk about stuff and we say words and we don't get into trouble.
Right.
We'll never monetize the station. But do that. Subscribe so that we can, so I can do certain things on YouTube. In fact, I need really 1,000 to make it easy. And right now, we're not even at 100. So just subscribe to it. More stuff will come on. Subscribing doesn't really cost you anything on YouTube.
It really doesn't.
They
It's
barely even tell you.
It's private. No one will know about your dirty little secret.
YouTube will know.
YouTube will know.
YouTube will know.
Your friends, family.
They won't know that you're following Daylight Farming. And half the time you don't get notifications. And you have to go check to see if you. So it doesn't even interrupt your day. Unless they like you. And they don't like us that much, so it's not that much. All right. That's it for this one.
All right.
See you again in a week.
Yep.